Welcome back to the Time for Heroes podcast. On the podcast this time out, I have Carol Alty. Is that how we're saying it?
Alty.
Carol.
Yeah, Alty. Yeah.
Drummer in late 80s, early 90s band Joanna. If you've not heard of them, it's because they've got no album out up until now, 35 years after intended to do so. They're releasing their debut album, Hello Flower, on the 5th of December. So we're going to talk about this 35-year journey to this culmination. A few things. NME described you at the time as the most popular band without a record deal. So that might be your claim to fame up until now, and then we'll see where it goes from there. But obviously, there's a big story around the band and kind of this 35 years. So usually what I do is I'll go back to the start and ask my guests how they grew up and all that. But before that, I'm going to go, what have you been doing since the band split up? Because obviously, for the listeners here, Carol's out in LA. So, what have you been doing since kind of the band broke?
Well, we were a four-piece bass, Terry on bass, Neil on vocals, Tyrone on guitar. And after we split up, like we went separate ways and did different music things. Me and Terry actually joined a band briefly together called Jules Verne, who's just done a Peel session, and it was formed by Danny, who's in Lady.
Keep talking.
Okay, yeah. By a guy called Danny, who's now in Ladytron, and who's great. And I saw him a few years ago in Brazil. And then I was in and out. I was in Half Man Half Biscuit for a few years,
right?
A few albums, and then I joined a band that had like a major deal called Joyrider, which it were kind of punky pop, and then that made me move to London, and then that's kind of as we got dropped by A&M Records. So I moved to London in '97, and you probably noticed that I've sort of lost my Scouse accent quite a bit. And so I lived in London for 10 years and was in bands there. And one of the people I was in the band with moved to America, and Clive Davis signed him.
Mm-hmm.
And to Arista, and he was like, "Do you want to come over and be my drummer?" So I was like, "Yeah." I was managing a record shop in Camden Town at the time, living in the back room, and I was like, "Yeah, come on, I'll move to Los Angeles." So I came, and like I've been here since. I did other session. I did start trying to do session work, but it's quite hard to get into. But I joined a band called Kisses with Jesse Kivell, who actually started the label New Feelings.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in that with him for years and toured the world with him. And before that, I was with the guy who brought me over, Paul Freeman, and we toured quite a lot. He was kind of he still is kind of like a Springsteen-y, a Welsh Springsteen.
Mm-hmm.
And then we toured with Joe Cocker for a bit, and that was great. And then I got married, and I have a proper job now, working for a DJ company. And I basically 6 months ago, Tyrone got in touch. I was in a group, a WhatsApp group with Terry and Neil, because Terry and Neil came to see me in like 2020, just before COVID. They came over, just the two of them, without family, and we went to see Mudhoney in Palm Springs at Pappy and Harriet's, and just had like a great time. And we've been in touch since. Then we all got, obviously, COVID. We all started talking about where's the tapes, and we we didn't know where the tapes were, but they were in. Our manager had them for years. Martin, our manager, who was Tyrone's mate, yeah, he had them, and then he moved to the Isle of Wight or the Isle of Man. I think it's the Isle of Man.
Isle of Man, I think they were
Yeah,
at.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And then so he gave them to somebody else to pass on to Ty, but they didn't pass it on to Ty, and then they stayed in his loft for like 9 years or something, and then he moved, and then he gave them to Ty. Ty was like, "Hey lads, should we shall I digitize these? I want to digitize these," and he did, and it was great because you know. I'd only listened to cassette like a hissy cassette for so many years, and it was I know the tracks were no, they all sounded good, and they were demos. They were just all demos for different for record companies,
Hmm.
and then it just sounded like being sat in the studio on those days, listening through the proper speakers for the first time. I was like, I'm gonna get a friend of mine to master them, and I did. This girl called Rebecca who works with me, and then I, I, I sent it to Jesse knowing that he's a massive Oasis fan and he's really into the Manchester scene. And like half an hour later, he called me. He was like, I want to put these out. I've got to put these out. And
Yeah.
then, so then, like, since then, me, Terry, Neil, Ty, we've just been in this daily WhatsApp thing, just like excited about it.
Oh, no wonder, man. It's kind of it's a complete mental story. I spoke to a band about 5, 6 episodes ago, and they were due to bring out an album Libertines time, round about that time, and it never materialised. They were signed to McGee with Pop Tones, and then they get dropped, and it never came out until like earlier this year. So that was 20 years.
Oh shit.
And that's
What
like
were they called?
the Mardoos. And I think they're, for what I've seen there, that's in going into record new stuff now. That's in back and they're recording new material. But that was 20 years. And I thought, that's fucking mental, 20 years. And then this comes in
Yeah.
and it's nearly double that time. So you must be so excited to kind of get this out to people. I
Yeah, it
listened
feels.
to
I
it.
mean, it feels like it's like going back to my first love. It's like the age that you are when I was 15, 16,
Mhm.
and even the way you hear the first records that you bought, and the first time you were ever like grooved with musicians, and like we took it really seriously, but it was like a hobby, and it was just like that's all I was about at the time, and it was like my first love. So it's great going back to that. It sounds great.
Yeah, well, that's the thing as well. Like, so I listened to it a few weeks back for the first time, and it does take you back to that period. It
Yeah,
sounds and it sounds so fresh. Obviously, as we kind of talked about off mic with the Roses and like the Roses coming back and they were embraced. So there's always been that love for that music and that style. So anything kind of going back to that, it sounds just as fresh as listening to the Roses or listening to Happy Mondays for the first time. So
yeah.
I think you're gonna have a ready-made fan base straight away coming back.
I hope so. Yeah, because we haven't we're like a new band, even though it's so we start a few months ago. Tyrone started like the Instagram account and all these things,
Mhm.
and it's like. So it's been good going through our loft and our photo albums and stuff, and finding stuff to content to actually
Yeah,
put on there, and
yeah. Well,
it's
that's probably one of the best things you've been able to kind of miss out on all the social media and kind of that for all these
yeah,
years. But the
yeah.
pressure will be on you now. You'll need to come up with some dances and all that for TikTok and stuff. So let's get back then. Kind of early life growing up. Was it? kind of in between Manchester and Liverpool. Is it Widnes? Is that where he's kind of all kind of hooked up?
Yeah, I was born in Liverpool in Bootle, and then Walton, and my dad was made redundant, and so he's a printer, and he moved to, or he got a job in Eccles, like near Manchester, so we moved like closer to Warrington, and then I was I was 15 and I advertised in the music shop in Warrington, the band to be a drummer. This would be the first time I ever tried to be in a band, and that band included Terry. I met him, and we met at Widnes, um, Pentagon Studios at Widnes,
Hmm.
and we were in this band for a little bit, which is kind of like a guitar pop type band. And then I went to music college in Lee, um, which is kind of near Wigan,
Hmm.
and that's where I met Ty. I was like 16, and I was in class, and this guy who was a little bit older, he was 20, came in like late to the class and came through the door, and he was head to toe covered in fluff. I was like, "What the fuck is it, this?" And he just finished a night shift at the local cotton mill,
Right.
and I was like, "I've gotta get to know him," and he was just a really nice. He already had like the long hair, was into like that the 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 scene, the Manchester scene that was just about to happen. And, well, he was more into the Smiths and like Martin
Hmm.
Stevenson and the Dayteens, and I think James as well. So I was like, "You got to join my band. We need a second guitarist, or mine and Terry's band." So then I brought Ty down to the rehearsal room. It didn't really click that well with the other guitarist, and then but it was still great. It sounded better with Ty in. And then the next day, Terry called me. He was like, "I want to split the band up. I've got a mate at work who's I wanted him to be the singer, and I want you, and Ty to be the band."
Hmm.
So then we split that band up, and we did a rehearsal next week, and I met Neil, and Neil is he's funny. He's great. He'd never been in a band before. No, I'd barely been in a band. I'd done like two gigs or something. But he was like, I think I was now 16, Neil was 19, Ty was 20, Terry was 18, and like Neil just had a little edge, and I was like, "Wow!" And and we wrote our first song, "I Want to Marry Joanna,"
Hmm.
which was I didn't know because I was still innocent. I was like, "Who is this Joanna?" But then I realized that he was like, "I want to marry Joanna." And it took me like ages, like weeks, to realize that what it was. And I was like, "You must really love this girl."
Yeah.
That's not song's not on the album, but it was we named ourselves after it.
Hmm. So, I mean, one of the questions I always ask is ambitions, but obviously, if you starting doing music at school, then going on to college, doing it, and then all the jobs that you've kind of done since have all been music related and record shops and all that. So, was music? When did kind of you realise that music was what you were going to do?
I was, I think, like probably about the age of 13. I'm sure it happens to most people, but when you first buy, me and my maybe it was younger. Remember me and my mates from school? We were like 10 years old. We all took the bus into town, and I went and bought like all 10 years olds on taking the bus into town. That probably doesn't really happen anymore. But yeah, I bought The Sun and the Rain by Madness,
Hmm.
and then I was like, just listen to it constantly, and just like, I don't know, I just it felt so good listening to music. And then like a few weeks later, I went and bought Relax by Frankie Goes to Hollywood, and then I was just like massively into like the production and like just the whole sound of it. Also, when I went to buy Relax on Walton Vale, the guy was selling it to me, and the girl behind me was like, you can't sell that to kids," and he went, "Fuck off." And that was like the first time I'd like heard an adult swearing and stuff, and I was like, this is what I want to be involved in. um, so there's a motorbike going past. So so then yeah, I just knew I wanted to be a drummer, and my dad had always wanted to be a drummer. He briefly roadied for Jerry and the Pacemakers, and like saw the Beatles when they were the Silver Beatles, and so he borrowed some tom toms off a mate at work, and you know I just started practicing, and then eventually they got me a secondhand drum kit for Christmas, and that was it then.
Brilliant. And so, like, you've touched on a lot of kind of influences there as well. So, once you kind of started as a band, what sort of what bands were kind of kicking about at the same time as yourself, kind of just starting it?
You know that the Stone Roses, the Happy Mondays, they were so it was like mid to late '89 when we started rehearsing. So they were definitely on the scene. Neil was definitely into like Shawn Ryder, the way Shawn Ryder was, and so for us as a band, we took that and sort of ran with it. And I was at the time I was like into the listening, firstly hearing the Clash and stuff like that, and
Hmm.
it still started to make sense, and then we started like gigging with other bands that were similar and getting gigs in Manchester, and then
That's the thing
suddenly,
as well. See, looking back on that, there's so much in the Manchester, Liverpool area. Obviously, the Roses and Mondays, get the farm. They were coming at
yeah.
Darlington's Shack. I mean, Shack's probably been the one that I've been listening to the most the last couple of years, man. Like right into Shack, you know.
Yeah, we supported Shaq
Yeah,
in Widnes. I regret that I didn't watch him. We were back. I was backstage with my brother and my mates causing trouble.
there's
Uh,
so
I,
many bands who like that kind of you probably don't realise the importance of them at the time. If you think it's obviously Shaq, and then you think of the Lars as well.
yeah, I,
It's just mental to think the geniuses and they kind of get left behind for so long.
yeah. I can't believe that the Laws. I mean, the Laws is really famous, but they just that album is just it's perfection. I just love it. I can't believe that he didn't like it.
Hmm. Well, maybe yous will be the next on that run. Yous will be the next ones to kind of get the resurgence once this album comes out.
So was there?
I said maybe yous will be the next out of that long line of bands to get the resurgence.
I hope so. Yeah, I hope more people find their demos and start releasing them. You know, I think this is it's exciting that we're doing this. I think maybe it's exciting also that somebody from California, my friend Jesse, like discovered it and like has it with completely fresh ears without like the sort of, I don't know, he just like just loves it for what it is and just doesn't it wasn't part of that scene or anything. So
Hmm.
you know, it's just really fresh to him, and it does sounds really fresh.
Yeah, totally. And, like as I say earlier, man, it kind of took me back to that kind of the first time I heard the Roses and the Happy Mondays, and I just wish I'd kind of been aware of use at the time because I
Yeah,
was
we like we all of these songs we recorded in a span of Like we went in and recorded one song at Pentagon Studios because that's where we rehearsed. We recorded um which song was it first? Let me have a look. Firstly, we recorded Mr. Sunshine, which is the
Mhm.
first song on the B-side. And then like a few months later we went in and recorded again, and then we went to Strawberry Studios with a guy called Jonathan from the band Rig,
Mhm.
and he worked there, so he had us in overnight, and we did. Have you heard the whole album?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, we did.
class.
We did Hey Presto with him, and he was like, um, we just played with them recently, and he was like, even though he loved Hey Presto, he really wanted to do If You Don't Want Me To.
Hmm.
So, like a month or so later, we went back into Pentagon with him and did three songs in a day, like mixed and recorded, or recorded and mixed in the day, and that was that was it for our recording. Actually, no, then like maybe about a year later, we did Gardener's World in Manchester, and then not long after that, we sadly split up.
Hmm.
So these are like it's our first album, but it isn't our first album. It's a collection of demos that we made to try to get a record deal, and because there was only like five record labels at the time, and they'd all signed their Manchester bands,
Hmm.
and none of us were in London. Our manager was just like our mate who you know who bought a big brick mobile phone to and was like just trying his best, and he did great, and we got good press in that, but we didn't have that many ins with the record labels, and so we just plodding along, and then we played the gig in London, and like expected that everybody was going to be there, all these record labels that said they were going to be there,
Yeah,
and
it's complete. This is the thing as well. That's completely changed as well. Like it isn't as London centric as it was back then. Like so, I mean, I went to see Andrew Cushion. I don't know if you know him. A wee singer songwriter for Newcastle. He's kind of Noel Gallagher took him under his wing, I think, at the start. And I went to see him uh, probably probably about this time last year, playing at the Oran Moor in Glasgow. And I've had him in the podcast, and I spoke to his manager. So when I went into the gig, I bumped into his manager, and he recognised me. He says, I know you. You're meant to be coming tonight, aren't you? He thought I was a record executive for Virgin coming to the gig. And it
oh,
turns out I wasn't. I says, no, I'm just a guy for the podcast. Um, so you get these record execs will travel nowadays, whereas back then it was just everything was London.
yeah, it really was.
So 35 years is a big change in that sort of thing. And obviously, like, there's something that we're going to touch on later with Dave Picciolinghi. Is it? I don't know how you say his name.
Oh, Dave Picciolungi,
But
yeah.
obviously, I mean, he approached us at one point as well. I mean, because he's the founder of Liverpool Sound City, and he's now top man at Modern Sky, and all the bands he's got are Liverpool acts.
Yeah. Yeah, he
So I
wanted
mean,
to be our manager for a while around now. He was putting on gig nights.
hmm
I think our first gig was at a night he put on in Stories in Widnes, and yeah, he wanted to be our manager at the time, but we'd already found one. But he came to the studio and stuff when we were recording. He tried to help us out.
yeah. So I mean, like you touched on Pentagon quite a bit, and if you were you see, you had your wee room there. It says in like the press release that I was reading you had stolen smoke machines and strobe lights and all that. So
Yeah.
um, 35 years down the line, we can probably you'll not be in trouble now. So where did you nab all this gear for?
My brother's mate went to a nightclub, like a cheesy Liverpool nightclub, and at the end of the night, he just like picked up a smoke machine and put it under his under his coat and walked out with it, and like he heard one of the bouncers saying like. He's stealing a chair. He's stealing a chair. But anyway, so he stole it and like sold it to me for like, I don't know, 50 pounds or something. And then I don't know where this. Well, I don't know whether we didn't steal any strobe lights, but we definitely had strobe lights. And Martin, our manager, like made this lighting board for us, like these planks of wood with like 3 or 4 plant pots nailed to them with lights in them, and if you I can there's probably little clips of us playing. There's a couple of videos of us once playing at the International in Manchester and one playing at the Cherry Tree in Runcorn.
Hmm.
And you can see his lights. We put them underneath Neil and they would shite up and light up, and we'd have the loads of smoke, and we played Liverpool Polytechnic, and all we had was like 2 or 3 strobe lights and the smoke machine, and we just filled the room, but like with way too much smoke and these strobe lights going on. I couldn't see my drums in front of me, and it was a laugh. So, but we're playing a gig in Manchester in
December the
December,
13th, yeah.
and yeah, and it says the venue doesn't allow smoke machines, but they allow like a mist machine or something. So I don't know what the difference is. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, it must be some sort of health and safety change
Yeah,
the
yeah.
intervening years. Uh, and
But
obviously,
we used to have that in our rehearsal room, like that and joss sticks and
hmm
mates over smoking weed and stuff. It was a fun rehearsal place.
obviously, you touched on some of the songs in the album. One of the ones you mentioned, "If You Don't Want Me To." So, for what I'm led to believe, that was something that you'd kind of done at school as part of a school exercise, and then you kind of brought it to the band.
Yeah, me and just me and Tyrone, we were in the same class. And this was, when I say music college, it was a music college, but we were both on the pre like I left school and I went to a careers officer and they were like, "What do you want to do?" I was like, "I want to be a drummer." And they were like, "Okay, well, there's a your GCSE, I got 2 GCSEs of C. One was music and one was like metalwork." And they were like, "You can go to this music college, but you can only do the pre-light music course, which basically is just like for people that that like music and play an instrument, but it's still not good enough to be on the proper course."
Hmm.
So me and Ty were there, and I was I started having drum lessons, and the teacher had showed me, how drum music is written. So me and Ty was sat down with a lad who was a keyboard player, and I just like wrote this rhythm down as like just to show him how music was written, and then I played it, and that was the drum beat for "If You Don't Want Me To," and then like we went into a practice room, and Ty came up with a bass line, and then we took it to the band. It was
So,
cool.
as a drummer, then, like, what specific drummers kind of did you look up to? What sort of drummers influenced you?
I was Topper Headon from The Clash I think he's my favorite drummer. Um, and then then I eventually heard this first Stone Roses album, Rennie's like a great drummer, and then I think I just like bands that play to the groove, and drummers that like are not showing off too much. They're just trying to like play the song, and
Hmm.
that's the drummers are like. I don't like any of the I was never into Led Zeppelin anyway. So like I know John Bonham's a good drummer and that, but it's just drummers that really play for the band.
Yeah. And like, so gig wise, like when you were back in the day, obviously you're right there, as you say, you've got Manchester, Liverpool on your doorstep. So what was the kind of day-to-day gigging like back then, 35 years ago? Obviously, you mentioned that you played with Shaq. So what other bands were you playing along with, and how did you kind of fit into the scene?
Well, we we started doing gigs in Widnes and Runcorn, and then um Martin started getting us gigs in Manchester and Liverpool, and who did we play for? We played with a band called Eusebio um, in at the International in Manchester. We played with Rig, who were great. We did a few gigs with Dr. Fibes and the House of Wax Equations, who I loved. I saw them at Stories around that time, and do you know them? Um,
No, no, I think my mate talked about them before, but I've never listened to them.
they're a three-piece. Spacey, kind of Hendrixy, and just live they were just amazing for a three piece. Um, and yeah, we did one gig with Shaq, and I can't think who we played with in Manchester, but we did the we did the gig, and then Clint Boone from the Inspire Carpets came, and he started to like come to our gigs,
Hmm.
and then that's when we seemed to start getting more gigs. People, when we played at the Boardwalk, and then the Boardwalk kept on rebooking us, and loads of my mates from school would come, and all of our mates, and just started getting this following, and so these car loads and coach loads of mates from Liverpool, all underage, drinking and just having a good time. They just kept inviting us back, and that's possibly when Clint Boone brought down, I believe, Noel Gallagher to
Hmm.
watch us. But this was like a few years before Oasis. No,
Yeah. So
you know,
yes, I
there's,
know
there's,
would have been roading with them at the time, would they know? So
no,
that
no, there's no link. We actually we was our first gig at the Boardwalk. The Rain was supposed to be playing, which I
hmm
think was Liam's band, but they pulled out, so we didn't see them. But that was yeah, that was our Manchester stuff. The Liverpool Polytechnic gigs were great as well. That
Yeah.
was such a great venue.
Yeah, and I mean, if you look at the Manchester and Liverpool now, there's so many venues. Manchester probably, like, I've had a lot of Manchester bands on, and they kind of talk about it's similar to Glasgow, where there seems to be venues like you're able to step up the capacity for every gig. And I think Manchester, Liverpool, Glasgow have always been places that are supportive of musicians, and there is that kind of foundation built. So that would have been like the start of it back when
Yeah,
yous were going. Obviously, like if you talk about Liverpool, like you get the Eric scene, and then you get
yeah,
then obviously like later on, I was like one of my previous guests was Dave McCabe for the Zootons, and then you're talking about that scene, like the bandwagon scene, and then obviously Manchester, you get the Hacienda, and then later on the Roses, later on Oasis after that. So you get they scenes, and they've just built the foundation for everything else that comes.
yeah. The whole Hacienda scene, and I only went there a couple of times. Neil used to go there quite a bit, but that there's a DJ called Dave Haslam,
Hmm.
and he used like he would, as well as doing that, he would do the Boardwalk, and sometimes like before we'd be on, like he'd be playing and just like the stuff he was playing. But what I remember the most is the song "Perfume" by Paris Angels, like the remix version of that. Whenever I hear that, like the hairs on the back of my neck stands up. It reminds me of just like, oh, getting ready to go on stage at the boardwalk, and it's just one of my favorite songs. It's that is the Manchester scene for me. Just "Perfume" by the Paris Angels.
And as you touched on kind of earlier about kind of the record deal, like no transpiring and all that, so it kind of came to, again, for reading the press release, obviously you played the gig down in London, and Neil met a girl that he knew from school, and there was kind of conversation, kind of she laughed at my bit, and then for what I'm reading in the press release, it kind of changed the mood that night. So would you say then that kind of that's why you never got a record deal at that point, and what was the kind of change in mood?
I think that the mood changed because um, just being so young, like we believed the like this is what's going to happen. We're going to go to London. We're brilliant. We've got this following now. We're going to go to London. All the record labels are going to be there, and we'll be offered a record deal. And that it just the reality set in. Like we had this thing one at the NME. We were getting interviewed by the NME at this gig. And I was just like, "Oh yeah, we're going to London. We're getting this. We're going to get a record deal." And um, the other was like, come on, Carl, what are you doing? It's not that easy." But because I was so young, but the guy who was reviewing us or interviewing us, he said this quote, like, "The simple beauty of youth," which it sort of was. It's like,
Hmm.
we thought we were gonna get it, and then we realized that like life's a little bit harder than that. Um, and we carried on, but then it was just like record companies would send letters saying, "Oh, this song's pretty good. Why don't you record another song?" And then it was just us paying money to go into recording studios. It's and we couldn't afford to like release our own record or anything like that. So
Yeah.
it just felt like, oh shit, this is coming to an end. They've signed everybody, and we're just not getting a deal. And when you're young, like 1 or 2 years is just like 10 years. It's like
Hmm.
so it just sort of, yeah, we all got a bit disheartened.
And like now looking back on that, do you think there was anything else you could do? Do you think if you'd stuck at it another 6 months, or do you think it was just kind of the mood and the consensus of the band was kind of beyond that?
I think if we would have stuck it out, I think I really do, especially with what happened later. Like the Oasis scene and stuff. The other bands that carried on, like the Charlatans, I mean, who were massive, of course, but
Yeah.
all of the bands that like stuck around and of that era then got like a leg up. So yeah, it would have been great if we would have stuck together, but that's
It's mental actually when you say the charlatans and you think of that and you think of that length of time then they've been gone, and
mm,
the stuff that's been thrown at that band, and they're still there kind of doing it.
yeah.
I was listening to him not that long ago, a couple of weeks ago, and it's amazing just everything that they've had to contend with, and they're plowed through it.
Yeah, I know. And he still looks
So
about like 30 or something.
yeah, yeah, but he speaks with such passion about music as well, and kind of, it's amazing what he's doing, like that listening party and all that. He's
Yeah, yeah,
such a
yeah.
busy guy, man.
Yeah, I listened to them during COVID. It was, but yeah, is his hair still blonde? or is
I
he
don't know. I think
painted it?
the last time I seen him, it was black again. But he's quite a stylish dude as well, man.
Yeah, I saw them at the Reading Festival in '92. In at '92, and I think they were still doing their second album then, and they just looked so cool.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the only time I
He's
saw
a
them.
busy guy as well. I've been doing this podcast nearly 5 years, I think, and I'm still yet to have any contact with him. I'd like to have him on. Um, so I, so all this kind of story, and it culminates now, and obviously the album will be out December the 5th, and then a sold out Manchester show on December the 13th. So the next question is, what next after that? What can we expect? Obviously, are you going to move back to Britain to get this band back up and running?
Um, no, but I, I'm talking with a couple of venues here in Los Angeles about doing a gig or two in March over
Mhm.
here, which would be just like which is like a dream for the other lads, and I just think it would, I don't know, it'd be great. We'll see if anyone buys the record, and I know people don't really buy records anymore, but I just we'll see how it goes. It's like we're starting to be asked to do like radio sessions and interviews and stuff, and I'm not going to be able to make it back for all of those things as yet, but no, we'll see. It would be great to do more gigs. Like
Yeah,
I'm practicing here. The other three, I made drum tracks and sent them to them, and they're rehearsing together with my drum tracks. And as soon as I get back in the early December, we're going to do loads of rehearsals and do a gig.
brilliant. Well,
And it'll be the first time I've seen Tyrone since he had a gig. I was working at the Dublin Castle in Camden, and he was in the band Lamen, and they played then, and that was the last time I saw him. Like I know early 2000s. So
it's going to be really emotional then as well, isn't it?
yeah, very yeah.
There's definitely scope for more gigs then, maybe next year. Like obviously my big mate I've mentioned, I've been referred to him a couple of times on this. He's doing it Minehead this weekend at Shine On. Um
Oh, is that the Butlins thing?
yeah,
Oh,
he's
brilliant.
been every year for the last 10, 15 years, and in the last 4 or 5 years he started DJing, like just like in between on the stage. Him and his boy, he's pals with the guy that runs it. But that Shine On Festival would be ideal for a band like you. It's all that type of music really.
That would be brilliant. What is so that's this time of year?
Yeah, it's always November, aye. Yeah, that's why I never
Okay.
go. It's a pain in the arse for me getting down there at that time of year. But aye, that would be ideal for you.
Yeah, tell them to book us. I'll be there.
I'll say
I
that
haven't been.
he wants booked for next year. I'll tell him to put in a word for you.
Thank you. Yeah, I haven't been to Minehead Butlin since 1985. It
Right.
was great. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'd be looking forward to seeing what happens next year if you're booking holidays or something to come here for maybe do like a week or something somewhere like.
Yeah.
Because I think once you maybe don't realise how good the album sounds, or you do realise, but you don't realise how it's going to be perceived. But I think it'll fly.
Really? I
Yeah,
mean, that's what I think. Um, I've been in the music scene or the music industry for a long time, and you get your hopes built up on stuff, and so many times you get let down. But I just feel that this is like pure. This music is pure, and it's just possibly the best thing that I've ever done, and it was all done 35 years ago when I was 16, 17. So I'd love it to be heard by a lot of people.
Yeah. Totally, instantly when I heard it, because I'm signed up to all these different PR emails, and I get so much in, and like I read like the first line of an email and think, no, delete, delete, delete,
Yeah.
and like yours, as soon as I read it, and kind of I clicked on the music to hear the music for the first time, and I was like, I didn't even get through half the song, and I sent the email back saying, I want to speak to these guys. So you can tell, man,
Yeah.
instantly what's what's going to be good and what's not. So
Yeah, one of the things I like about it is the fact that they were demos, and demos proper studio things that you can't fix any mistakes. And like, everything that's recorded these days, like the mistakes get fixed.
hmm
And there's sometimes the things that make it as well. Not that there's many mistakes in it, but it's just, it's the tracks might slowly speed up and stuff like that, and they just sound great. It sounds more real than anything that gets released these days.
yeah, yeah. I can't wait for every day to hear this here, but I've been listening to it the last 3 weeks and blown away, as I say. So can't wait for everybody else to be able to hear it.
Thanks, man.
So all the best for all that. All the best for the gig. Hope the nerves don't get the better of you.
Where
But
do you live? Where do
I'm
you
in
live?
Glasgow. Well, I'm
Ah, okay.
outside of Glasgow. I'm in Motherwell. So
Well, if you want to come to the gig, obviously you're invited. We'd love to meet you.
I'd love to come. I work as a postman though as well, so I'm um, a bit busy that time of year. Plus, December the 13th, the following day, Celtic are in the League Cup final, so I'll be going to that as well. And then I'm going to a gig that night as well, hopefully. So I'm a bit chock-a-block, but I'll definitely be looking for stuff next year. I'm putting pressure on you for more stuff next year.
Thanks, mate.
But the last part of the podcast, obviously, it's called Time for Heroes. I asked my guests to pick 4 heroes to come for dinner, why they're your heroes, and what would you cook for them. They can be all music, they can be films, sports, whatever walk of life you want, and they can be dead or alive as well.
Right. Okay. Well, yeah, I thought about it. Um, I've got only one or two of them, two are famous, but I'm gonna have to start with my dad for the first one. Obviously, he died last year, and he was just inspired me to be into music. He would he put a record player next to my bed, one of those stack ones, and like
hmm
Elvis records would drop and drop, and then he would like, I said he was just so much into music. He made his own bass guitar and did one gig um, back in the '60s, and I don't know. He borrowed drums for me. He borrowed a video camera just to be able to film those any of the Joanna footage that you'll see.
hmm
So he's
So all
invited.
that
My
footage
dad, Charlie
comes for
Alty.
your father, then that's brilliant.
Yeah, yeah, it was. It was great. Um, and then
And what's your dad's name, just to give him a proper shout
oh,
out?
Charlie Alty.
Brilliant.
Yeah, he was a gentle giant, loved by many,
God bless
including the
Charlie.
band. Yeah, Neil from the band even came to the funeral last year. It was which is really nice.
hmm
And then with the Scottish thing, my next one, and I love animals, dogs. Greyfriars Bobby would
Right.
come. Um, the famous dog of Edinburgh.
hmm
Um, when I first went to play gigs in Scotland, I was with Half Man Half Biscuit, and uh, they just Nigel and his wife Denise had just watched the movie, the Greyfriars Bobby movie. So we went to
hmm
Greyfriars Bobby's grave, and I just think it's nice to have a dog at the table. We played King Tut's as well on that tour. That was
Right.
great.
Kent, that's a brilliant venue, isn't it?
Yeah, and then maybe a place called the Venue was in Edinburgh. Was
Yeah, I
possibly.
think so. I'm not sure if that's still going, but I've heard of that, but
Do
no
you remember
recently.
Baby Chaos?
No.
They were like a grunge band from Scotland, and they play with us. They're really good. They got me into they supported Elastica a few years later,
Right.
and they got me into the gig. So yeah, Greyfires, Bobby, and then okay, Liverpool legend, not very well known, but Jeff Davis. Jeff Davis started Probe Records.
Right.
Um, was like the big music, the big underground music shop in town. It's where if you were meeting your mates, you'd meet on the steps at Probe. Famous people had worked there, like Pete Burns and from Dead or Alive and stuff. Well, Jeff started that shop, and then he started Probe Plus Records and signed he signed Half Man Half Biscuit, and then the band that I was in, a band or two after Joanna, I was in. He came and like got us into the studio, and then like recognized me for my drumming and got me into Half Man Half Biscuit, which was kind of my break,
Mm-hmm.
which eventually meant that I got to have a career in music for the rest of my life. So, and he was like such a stubborn. We used to argue about music a lot. He was very opinionated and loved him. So yeah, Jeff Davis. Um, and then to lighten the mood, Rick Mayall. I love
Mm-hmm.
Rick Mayall at a dinner party. Um, he inspired me and all my mates. The young ones inspired me and my mates to like just act like the young ones, be anarchic, and just a few weeks ago, my wife. I live in Los Angeles, um, and my wife was talking about her favorite film, and she was Little Drop Dead Fred, and I didn't realize that, but so then I went down the wormhole. Is it wormhole?
Yeah, rabbit hole, rabbit hole.
The rabbit hole, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I went down the rabbit hole of you know, Rick Mayall stuff with her. So he's
Funny
in my
that I
head at
was
the moment.
watching. We were watching a few Rick Mail things a couple of weeks ago as well. It's funny how sometimes it just kind of come to prominence at certain times.
Yeah, yeah, I know it. So I loved him. And cooking wise, I I live in East LA, which is 95% Hispanic. I'm definitely the only English person within a few miles radius. But all my neighbors are like Mexican, and my mate Cecilia over the road is mum makes it's called what's it called? It's called birria. It's a slow cooked goat
Right.
meat, and it's delicious. And like, uh, so I take them either to a barbecue over the road at Cecilio's house for birria, or we'd go out and get some chili rellena burritos up the road. But like, Mexican food here is like very
Yeah.
authentic.
Yeah. That sounds brilliant.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That's what to do.
when I first,
Take them out to the neighbours. That's
yeah,
what we'll do with that. That's a good idea.
yeah. No,
First first time ever. I'm nearly 150 episodes in. First time I've ever was took it to a different venue for the dinner party. Also the
well,
first time. Also the first time I've ever had a dog picked as well, which
yeah,
I'm a great advocate for after the Mad Dogs and all that. I've been through a time at the last couple of months with dogs, so
yeah. I worked at a dog place here a few years ago, called I Said Sit, where like I worked in the kennels, and claim to fame. I looked after Stevie Wonder's dog for a little bit.
Brilliant. And
That's my big claim to
what kind
fame.
of dog did Stevie Wonder have?
Oh, it was two little like chihuahuas or something. I can't
Right.
remember. They weren't very exciting.
Okay, that's brilliant. I love my dogs, man. Absolutely love them. Like this one here. You see, this is
Aye.
that's my wee puppy. She's only like 4 months old. And then I get another one there. I don't know if you can see that one. You see that? It's a King Charles.
Uh,
So he's a foster.
bedtime.
That the King
Yeah.
Charles is a foster, and that's the Labrador's just a wee pup. We just got her a couple of months back, but I had a Labradoodle. He passed away in February, so I was
Shit.
absolutely gutted.
What was his
And
name?
Dylan, I've got a wee
What?
Dylan. Look at this. I don't know if
Uh,
it's
uh,
terrible,
yeah,
but
Dylan. Yeah,
so
our dog Salty died a couple of years ago. I'm still sad about it, but now we have another rescue dog called Gary, who's lovely.
brilliant.
Terry. Sorry, he's a terrier. Um, quite bitey. But yeah, I love him.
So while we're here, actually, I'm just going to give a shout out to my pal Paul, actually, because he has dug to put his dog down
Oh shit.
just the other day, and he's quite cut up about it. So shout out to my mate Paul McPherson and his dog Jinky, who'll be flying high up in heaven and hopefully run
Uh,
about my Dylan and your Salty as well.
yeah, could I give a shout out then to Michael David, who is also works on for the record label. His dog Coco died 2 days ago as well. So
Oh, that's
this is
such
to
a shame.
Coco as well.
That's such a shame. That's just turned into a mad grief fest.
Yeah.
But so as I say, thank you very much for coming on today, Carol. It's been an absolute pleasure. I'll reiterate the album Hello Flower out December the 5th on Spotify, and can you buy it on vinyl?
Yeah, yeah. There's 200 copies being made. In fact, I'm holding one here for you right now.
Oh, lovely.
And with it comes a three song live CD recorded at the Queen's Hall in Widnes in 1990. Which is which actually sounds really good. So that's going to be on vinyl. You can order it through or through Bandcamp, and I'm going to take a load over with me in December as well, and we'll start selling them at the gig and stuff like that. But
Brilliant.
yeah, you can hear you can hear it on Spotify and stuff as well.
Yeah, I'll post links to your Spotify, but I'll post a link for that Bandcamp as well. And
Yeah,
go and
please
buy
do.
the
Yeah,
vinyl.
yeah,
But absolute pleasure coming on.
yeah.
Hope the
Real
gig
pleasure.
goes well. And if I don't see you at some point next year at a gig, then I'll make a point of going to Minehead, and I'll see you at Shine On next year. That's going to
Get
happen.
us on Shine On, please. That would be brilliant.
Brilliant. Right,
You can
Carol.
stay in our chalet.
Aye, I might do that. Aye, that'll save us a bit of cash. But absolute pleasure coming on today. Enjoy the
Yeah,
rest of your
you too.
Sunday.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, have a great night.
Cool, mate. I hope you all enjoyed this episode of Time for Heroes podcast. If you would like to get in touch, the best way is on the Facebook page, Time for Heroes podcast, or on Instagram at Time for Heroes podcast, or Twitter at Time for Heroes P1, or drop me an email at timeforheroespod@gmail.com. You'll find Time for Heroes on all podcast platforms, including Spotify, Apple, Google and Amazon. Please leave a review where you can, share with others, and more importantly, enjoy.